You know, Steve, we got markets looking to the new inflation report for July tomorrow. We got wholesale inflation coming in Friday. CPI is expected to rise to 3.3% from 3% in June. But Biden's about to celebrate the one-year anniversary of the Inflation Reduction Act. Should he take a victory lap now?
Hell no, we shouldn't. I mean, this is something that has added so much to the national debt. You know, over the last year, Liz, the national debt, the budget deficit over the last 12 months has been close to $2.1 trillion. Now, does that sound to you like deficit reduction? Does that sound like inflation reduction? I believe that the inflation rate might be even a little higher than some of those projections, because I'm looking at what's happening in food prices, in energy prices. You know, the oil price went well over $80 a barrel in recent days. And so when you see those energy prices rise, those reverberate throughout the economy. It's an economy that is, in my opinion, very fragile right now and in a real financial tough spot when people are losing money relative to the purchasing power that they have.
You know, and speaking of that, you know, Steve, Axios is reporting that Biden is reportedly losing his footing, that working class Black and Latino voters, he's losing his footing with that voting bloc. And Politico is reporting House Democrats in vulnerable seats are cautious about embracing Bidenomics. Wrap this all together.
I think that the problem for Biden in terms of going around the country and saying, you know, everything's been so wonderful and I've fixed the economy, is that, you know, the inflation that we were talking about, Liz, that's a regressive tax. In other words, the people who really feel the effects of inflation the most are the lowest income people and the very demographic groups that you're talking about. For example, Hispanic voters and in many cases Black voters who voted overwhelmingly for Biden, but are now feeling the financial squeeze that his policies have put on their back. And so, you know, look, everything's wonderful inside the Beltway, you know, but this is exactly why Americans feel like people in Washington are completely out of touch with Main Street.
Yeah, well, the blue-collar workers of all backgrounds, that's
right.
What Axios is saying. They don't like Biden's rapid shift from oil and gas to green energy. It's too quick and too costly. So that's what's going on. Let's watch this.
That's a big...
So the White House clearly trying to gin up excitement for President Biden's 2024 campaign.
Yes.
His CNN's poll from last week found that President Biden's approval rating is at only 41%. Mm-hmm. Only 37% of Americans approve of his handling of the economy. I said this in our staff meeting today. I feel like I've been noting this for 3 years. President Biden is out there heralding such and such, and the American people disapprove overwhelmingly. 3 years in, we're still having this conversation.
Still having the conversation because the connection isn't happening.
The connection isn't happening with voters, Steve.
Yeah, well, I don't know what connection she's talking about, because I think they are making the connection. They're connecting the dots, Liz, for something we've talked about on this show for the last 2 years, that the out-of-control government spending led to the massive increase of inflation from 1.5% to 9% under Biden. Now it's come down, but now it's going up again, and people are feeling a financial squeeze. I mean, I went to the grocery store this weekend with my wife for the first time in several months. I couldn't believe how much milk cost, eggs cost, hamburger cost, and then you go, you know, try to rent a car, you try to get an airline ticket. I mean, people don't even believe that the inflation rate only 3 or 4%. When you look at the necessities, it's closer to 10%.
And you know, you talk a lot about how small businesses are basically the net job creators, right? They're responsible for more than half, I think, of net job creation. You know, but their optimism is down 19 straight months, Steve. Final word.
Well, small businesses are feeling the brunt of the inflation as well, because remember, if they have to pay workers more at like a fast food restaurant or, you know, working in a factory, they have to try to pass those costs on. And it's you know, this kind of circle of inflation that's causing a hardship for small businesses and workers too. And that's why for Bidenomics to be declared a victory is just out of touch with the economic reality of the vast majority of Americans.
Steve Moore, thanks for joining us. We'll have you back on again soon.